All right, so this is gonna be a review of Captain Marvel. The Marvels is coming out pretty soon, so I was like, all right, well, I'll revisit this, even though I never wanted to see this movie again. I think this is a boring movie. I don't like this movie at all. I think people were being overly kind to it because of the controversy. Certain people who wanted to kind of, when the culture war gets involved, right? People kind of ignore the actual thing that they're talking about and just want to fight online. Because the whole thing with Brie Larson, she was had certain comments that people didn't like, certain things I didn't agree with. I think most of it was just kind of worded badly, right? Like the whole idea of wanting more diversity amongst top critics or critics in general. I can get behind that, obviously. But the whole thing where it's like, I don't care what a 40-year-old man has to say about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I was like, well, I'm a reviewer. I've been a reviewer for a while. I've reviewed plenty of movies that I'm not part of the demographic for that weren't made for me. That's kind of part of the job. I don't know any critic that only reviews movies that are specifically made for them. So it's kind of nonsense to kind of dismiss somebody's opinion because of that. And then also, A Wrinkle in Time sucked ass. It was a terrible movie. Nobody liked that movie. So yeah, this is for me one of the worst of the MCU movies. It was the worst until Eternals. Eternals is atrocious. I didn't think an MCU movie could be as bad as Eternals. But anyway, let's get into it. So it's directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. And, obviously we got Brie Larson playing Carol Danvers, but she goes by Veers in the very beginning. She's on Hala, a Kree planet. She's part of this Kree task force. I think they said something about she crash landed there 6 years ago as a result of the Kree Skrull War, because that's who the Kree are fighting against. And she doesn't have memories of before then. But she does have these little flashes of memories of Earth and certain people. The Supreme Intelligence, when they go to talk to it, it takes the form of somebody who's important to you or somebody you look up to, and it takes the form of the actress Annette Bening in this. And this person, Carol Danvers or Veers, doesn't even recognize. So there's definitely some things, some mystery around her origin. But she has a mentor, Jan Rog, played by Jude Law, who's training with her, and there's a really big thing with him about telling her to control her emotions. They go to save a contact that they had, and Veers actually gets captured by the Skrull. The Skrulls are shapeshifters. They can shapeshift into different people and things like that. So that's what makes them more dangerous, is you never know who you can trust or who could be a Skrull. So they capture her and they bring her to their ship, and they're going through her memories, and they're able to really pinpoint certain things. And you see the lady that is the form of the Supreme Intelligence for her in those memories. So clearly there's more going on there. But she ends up getting away, and she gets in a ship, and then she ends up crash landing on Earth. So she tries to communicate with the Jan Rog and them, but it's going to take, I think it was like 22 hours or something for them to get to her. And she ends up meeting up with Nick Fury, once again played by Samuel L. Jackson. Agent Coulson's also in this, barely. And the Skrulls followed her down to Earth, so now we have shapeshifters around and things like that. And so she and Nick Fury, they have to deal with the Skrulls and figure out what's going on, but also piece together her past and the mission, the final mission she went on, and things like that, and also find out who this lady is in her memories. All right, positives. So I like the 90s stuff in this. It takes place in the 90s. There's plenty of references. The soundtrack has some 90s music in there, one of which was used in a really cringy way, but for the most part, that works. She crash lands into a blockbuster and things like that. There's some fun stuff with the internet and things like that. I think the de-aging is done well on Nick Fury and Agent Coulson, even though Agent Coulson's barely in it. The only time I can really have a problem with it is when Nick Fury is clearly older than he looks, because whenever he has to do something physical, like he's running with Captain Marvel, he's barely moving. He gets into a fight with Talos, which is the lead Skrull in this, played by Ben Mendelsohn. He gets into a fight with him, and he's just flinging his arms around. It's like, wow, this is supposed to be young Nick Fury, right? And it doesn't feel like it at all, because it's clearly like, it's still old Samuel L. Jackson. But that was still done well. And I think the best part about this, which is the best part because of another part that's the worst part, is the other characters around Carol Danvers. So Nick Fury, and then you got Talos, who's the lead Skrull. The Skrulls turn out to be good, and the Kree are the actual villains in this. The actual ones going after them and taking over their planets and coming after them. So, he's also part of the cast here. But then you also have Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch, and that's her friend, Carol Danvers' friend from before, everything happened, and she ended up with the Kree. And I think they're all good, right? Like the scene with Maria Rambeau talking to Carol Danvers when they first reunite, I think is the best scene in the movie. It has the most emotion because you're getting it from Lashana Lynch and not Brie Larson. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I actually felt it. I was like, yeah, I feel for this character and losing her friend like this. And, it just, all those other characters just had so much more personality. Whenever they're on screen with Brie Larson or Carol Danvers, they just completely take over the screen. They completely take over your attention because they're so much better than her.
Can you turn to a cat?
What's a cat?
What about a filing cabinet?
Why would I turn into a filing cabinet?
The Venus flytrap. I'll give you $50 right now if you turn to a Venus flytrap.
All that being said, I think that's pretty much my positives here. This movie, it could be interesting. It could be good because you have an interesting plot here with a character who has a secret past that we're finding out along the way with them. There are other movies like that. And, it's entertaining. You want to find out more and more, and it's a mystery to solve along with the character. But it is told in probably the most uninteresting way possible. So there's a lot of exposition, but exposition that doesn't really feel like it's giving you a full idea of things, like the Kree-Skrull War and things like that, where it just feels like they're just giving lines just so that we can move on to the next thing. So you can't really get invested in that way. But the biggest thing is that the lead character, Carol Danvers, played by Brie Larson, is not good. It's not good. They make this character as boring as possible. So she goes through the whole movie completely stone-faced. They have this whole thing about, control your emotions, control your emotions. I guess she must be real successful because you can almost never see emotion on her face. She's barely ever emoting. It is crazy to me that you would, and it feels like it's more than just Brie Larson's performance. It feels like she's directed to be that way. You directed your main character to have no emotion, right? To not react to anything going on with her. So why should I care? I can't get invested because I don't feel like the main character is, because she doesn't seem to be. I'm not getting that from her performance. And you have these moments where, because they can't even be consistent, where you do have those moments where she smiles or she'll laugh or she'll make a little joke or something or have a little quip, almost like a Tony Stark. But it comes off as completely unnatural and it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie.
Name a detail so bizarre a Skrull could never fabricate it.
A toast is cut diagonally, I can't eat it. You didn't need that, did you?
No, I didn't, but I enjoyed it.
This is honestly crazy. I was actually getting mad watching the movie because you have an Oscar-winning actress right here, and you would never know based on this performance and based on her line delivery. There is some really, really bad lines that she delivers here. It's just, there were points where I stopped the movie. I was like, what is going on? Why would you have this character be like this? I don't get it.
You don't know me. You have no idea who I am. I don't even know who I am.
We embraced you as our own.
You stole me from my home, my family, my friends.
Yeah, in order for me to get invested in this and really go on this journey with this character of discovery, of finding more and more things about her and her past relationships and reuniting with people from her past and things like that, I need to be invested in this character. I need to be able to connect with her, and I can't at all. Even she's been in this movie, Endgame, and she's gonna be in the Marvels. I'm going into the Marvels still having very little idea of what I'm supposed to get from this character when it comes to her personality and developing her. I don't know. I mean, this is one of the worst main characters I've seen in a while. Along with that too, the character is overpowered they have this thing, this inhibitor on her that the Kree put on her. Clearly, storytelling wise, that was so that she wouldn't be so insanely overpowered the entire runtime. So there's the inhibitor on her that, she's only really shooting out blasts every now and then, but she's still overpowered. There's still never a point where I feel like she's actually in danger. There's a point where her and Nick Fury, they're in a room, they're trying to get into some other area. And he does this whole thing where he uses tape, whatever, to get the fingerprint so so they can get through the door. And then they get to the next door and she just blasts it. I was like, okay, well, yeah, she could have done that the whole time, and that's kind of the joke. But what barriers are keeping her from doing anything, right? There's no physical barrier. She doesn't seem to be having that much issue with the Kree, not with the Kree, with the Skrulls, other than catching up with them or figuring out which one is which when it comes to them shapeshifting. So that makes it even less interesting because there's no tension. There's none. There's never a point where I feel like she's in any kind of danger from anyone. The mystery, by the time it gets revealed to you, kind of already know it. Annette Bening's character turns out to be Marvel, who used to be with the Kree, and then she went against what they were doing, so she ended up coming to Earth and having Carol Danvers be her pilot and all that.
The core that she found would have powered a light-speed ship capable of carrying us to safety, a new home, where the Kree can't reach us.
Carol got her powers because she shot the engine so that they wouldn't get to it, the Kree. And that's how she got her powers, but she lost her memories, and so they took her away. That's what happened. And by the time it gets revealed, you're pretty much there. So that adds to the movie not being all that entertaining. Because you're just like, all right, hurry up, get to it so we can move on by that point. But you have this ending where it's just her, just beating the shit out of the other Kree people that were on her task force, right? There's no, even though her and Jan Rock seem to have somewhat of a okay relationship, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like there's any drama there, or that she doesn't want to be fighting them because of those years that they spent together. No, she just blasted them all away with just a girl playing over it, which is cringy. it's just lame. While Nick Fury and Maria Rambeau are running away with the Tesseract, I'm not sure if it makes sense that the Skrulls were up in a spaceship with the Tesseract for these years, however long it's been. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't think it does, but it might. I don't remember. I'd have to go back through the MCU up to this movie, and that's too much work. I could have looked it up, but I forgot. But it's just largely really uninteresting to me as it's playing out, and the effects are so bad too. The what's it called? The Skrull transformations. They were already kind of not good, especially the one on the beach. But it's just when she gets her powers, like this is the stuff that you make sure looks great, right? You had it in the trailers and everything. This is the big moment. She's going through parts of her life where she, fell down but got back up and all that. It's very, very surface level empowerment. But you would think that you would make that look good. It looks really fake, and then Ronan pops up out of nowhere just so that she can destroy those ships, and it could be a character that we recognize from a past movie. It's just, you might as well not even been there. I don't even know the point of that. By the time she fights Jan Rog, it's just like she blasts him and that's it. It's not an actual fight. It's like, wow, you really made this character insanely overpowered to the point where it seems like even you don't know what to do with her to actually infuse some tension and have something going on here. This movie definitely gave me a headache because there were certain things I was thinking about, certain things that didn't really make logical sense. First of all, she uses technology from like a Radio Shack with her alien technology to communicate to a spaceship of her Kree people, which is like, all right, whatever. She's doing this chase with this Skrull on this train, and the Skrull runs into the train as an old lady is getting off, and he knows that Brie Larson's right behind him, and he still transforms into that, or shapeshifts into that old lady, which makes no sense. That's stupid. And then as he's leaving, you have him shapeshifting into one of the people on the train, and that looks terrible, by the way. But the only reaction the guy has is he just kind of sits up a little bit in his seat. It's like, how are you guys not reacting to what's going on here? How is this not on the news? It's like they're like fighting on top of the train, breaking the train and everything. Nobody found out about this. I guess maybe Shield kept a lid on it. That's another thing. Shield should not be called Shield yet. That was established in Iron Man. They were the strategic homeland, da 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 da. Right until the end of the movie, then they kind of went with Shield. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. By the end of it, they're like, yeah, we'll workshop in Shield, I guess. But in the 90s, not only are they Shield already, but they're already established as Shield. Like he'll go up to a place and be like, "Hey, can I get in here?" Nick Fury, Shield, and he'll get in. Like it doesn't make any damn sense. Really, this is just like a. If you're somebody who defended this movie or gave a positive review because of female empowerment or because of the politics, right? You've been had because it's very surface level. It's meaningless. This is a boring, bland superhero movie. Just another one. But every now and then somebody will say something overtly sexist, like that dude who asked her for a smile or something like that. Like every now and then something like that will happen. You'll be like, whoa, where'd that come from? I mean, it feels out of place.
You lighting up, honey, huh? Got a smile for me?
I guess that's it. The main thing here is just that the story is just as interesting as it should be, and the main character is, for whatever reason, written and directed and performed to be as bland as possible. That's the big thing. Like if they would have gotten, if Captain Marvel would have been really interesting in this and had like a personality, they clearly knew what they wanted to do with the character, which they didn't know here. This could have been marginally better. Like I could have maybe gotten away with a rental if that were the case. But because the main character is so bad, it kills this movie. I mean, an already not all that great movie, it kills it. But yeah, this is not good. So I'm giving it trash, just like I did all those years ago. I thought maybe I'd change my mind and give it a rental. I'm not. I forgot just how boring this fucking movie is. But anyway, yeah, that is Captain Marvel, and we're done.